So the problems seem to continue with this particular M and its hydraulics. I've done a few videos on this on why the power down does not seem to be working. Did get a few comments on some saying that it had something to do with the split-in valve that is at the rear. That's not the case, at least as far as I can tell. I took it over to my neighbor's. He has an M. He actually used to have a setup like this, and then he modified it, and he's got a PTO driven hydraulic setup now. But anyway, he was looking at it and he couldn't figure it out. We both think that it's something to do with the Christmas tree valve, that there might be something going on inside. We're not sure yet, but I'll tell you what I've done so far. So basically, there is absolutely no power down. When the Christmas tree valve is when the belly pump is on and fully engaged, the Christmas tree valve, when you pull back, you should get pressure on one of these two lines. And in this case, that would lift the loader. Works fine. If you push forward, you should get power down the other way. It's supposed to send fluid in the opposite direction. That's how it's intended. This is an addition. This is International's way of getting compatibility with double acting cylinders. Back when the tractor first came out, I don't think there was, I honestly don't know, but I don't think there was any such thing as a double acting cylinder. Maybe there was and just wasn't very common. But over time, obviously, they became more common and more people needed them. And so they created this Christmas tree, is what a lot of people refer to. It's IH calls it double or auxiliary hydraulics or something like that. So you're supposed to have a feed line going out here when you pull in this direction, and a feed line going out here when you push in this direction with the belly pump engaged. So I'm not getting that. So, like I said, I was over at Matt's. We were looking at it. He couldn't figure out what was wrong. He put his hand on the hoses. There was no pressure at all on the one hose. And so I ended up trying to figure out exactly what's going on here. I disconnected this line right here, which is the power down line for the loader. And the 3-point is also a double acting cylinder, and it doesn't have power down. It's gravity down. So it should be the same thing. And what I ended up doing was there's that little plunger in there, that little pin, and you push that pin in, and that obviously mates with the ball, and then you get hydraulic pressure. So the first thing that I did after disconnecting it is I went ahead and stuck my wrench in there and pushed that pin in all the way. And then while the tractor was running, the belly pump was running, I went ahead and pushed the double acting or the Christmas tree forward, and I was getting absolutely no pressure out of this at all. So there's obviously a problem. Now, at the same time, I went ahead and lifted, and you can see this hose just jump around. So there's definitely pressure on this side. Let's see. Sorry, it'd be the other side. So it goes in this way. This is one set of connectors, and then the top is another set of connectors. So anyway, it was this hose then that was moving around. So plenty of pressure going up, but no pressure going the other way. And like I said, pushing this in here and pushing it all the way in, as soon as I hit the power down, there should have been hydraulic fluid just spraying out of here. But there was nothing. There's no pressure on it, nothing. So the problem is either at this point right here going forward, or I'm getting absolutely no hydraulic pressure at all running to these lines that run from the Christmas tree. Now, when the tractor is running and the belly pump is running, when you pull back on it, obviously you hear the belly pump in there going because it's working. You push on it, you get the same like it's working, but there's no pressure. So what I'm thinking is there's something going on in here. I haven't pulled the hose yet. I'm going to do that probably tomorrow. I'm going to pull this hose off. I have plenty of thread tape, so I'm not worried about that. But I'm going to pull this hose off, and if fluid just, obviously it's going to spray out as soon as I push forward on it. If it does spray out, then I know that somewhere along this hose, maybe going to this block, maybe there's something wrong with this block here. That's possible. There's something wrong with this block here. I may just disconnect it right here and see if I have any pressure. But it's a possibility that there's something going on in here and I need to replace that. But it definitely sounds like the pump is running. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and start it so that you can hear it, because I think I've done this before, but maybe I haven't. But we'll go ahead and... So you'll be able to hear it. Hear it? That's the loader coming up. Now let's go the other way. Can you hear it? Go ahead and bring this back down. Looks like I gotta tighten that up. So anyway, you just saw there, or heard there, that the belly pump is working. Something in there is working. So I would assume that if the belly pump was working, that is, fluid is flowing and it's making that sound, that it should have some kind of flow, that there's something working. I would assume, and this is an uneducated guess, but I would assume that if the Christmas tree was working in reverse and it works fine and it makes the same sound going forward, that it's working. The valve itself inside that Christmas tree is working. Because if it wasn't working, if it wasn't applying pressure to both sides, then I shouldn't hear any sound coming out of one side, I would assume. Again, I'm not really sure. So I did pull the cap off of this. Unfortunately, this whole thing has to be like tore down, because you have to take this off, you have to unthread this down here, it comes out this way, then you can get the other part out, because you can't just lift it up and out because the hood and the gas tank are in the way. But I did pull the cap off of here just to see maybe something's hung up in there. I didn't notice anything. I was able to pull the plunger up and down and it seemed to do just fine. So again, I don't know if something is stuck in here. I don't know how to investigate to figure out what's going on, but I'm likely going to be disconnecting one of these two on this side. And then if I engage the power down and hydraulic fluid comes spraying out, then I'll know that this is the problem, that this thing right here is the problem. Because I'm not getting anything, no matter which way I go with it. I'm not getting power down on the 3-point, which has a double acting cylinder. And I'm not getting power down on the front end loader, which has a double acting cylinder on both sides. So I'm not really sure. That's really, it's excuse me, strange. This should be, this line right here, it traces to the double acting cylinder that goes, so this right here, that line that I just disconnected goes to this T, and this T runs all the way up to here. So if you have fluid that's pushing in here, that should power retract the cylinder. If you have a single acting cylinder, then there should be just power from here to go up. And then when you release the pressure, the weight of your implement actually just pushes it back in the opposite direction. That's what it's doing right now. That's what I've got. That's all I've got. So it's kind of annoying because this was designed for a double acting power up and down, not just a fall down, gravity down they call it. Now, I'm not worried as much about the 3-point because I guess it's not common or unheard of to have a double acting cylinder on your 3-point. So I'm not really worried about that, but I got to figure this out. I just do. I do have a 12-volt hydraulic. It's a 20-quart 12-volt hydraulic V4 pump. It runs off the battery. It's huge. It's 20 quarts. It's absolutely massive. I got it before I got this tractor, so I bought that. Then we found this tractor, and I'm just like, oh man. So And Vevor has an absolutely terrible return policy, but it might be a blessing in disguise. What I was thinking about doing, and if I can keep the way that things are, I will, but what I was thinking about doing is mounting. It would have to be a custom shelf that would be bolted somewhere in this area here, and it would sit up behind the seat, and it would be elevated here. And then I would basically use that to power this block here, assuming that it still works. Then I would use these two here, because whatever's wrong with the Christmas tree, put quick connect fittings on here. And I have a lot to learn about those, because I don't know what's what and whatever. There's a million different things. So I put quick connect fittings on here, and then I would just lay these back and run them down here for my single acting implements, or, you know, whatever else. But I do have a plow that I need to get going, and I unfortunately can't even hook up to it. And the reason is because these are both being taken up by this block here, which is for the front end loader and the 3-point. So I have no extra hoses that I can connect to get even my plow to even lift. I have nothing else. Now, if it is the same size, which I don't know anything about this, I could disconnect these. It would be the top ones, because this is for the 3-point. I would disconnect the top ones and then just plug in my my whatever, the plow. And then that would, since the one side's not working anyway, then I would just have the power up and then the gravity down. So I just disconnect these, plug in the, you know, it's got, like I said, it's got the quick connect fitting. So I would just plug that in right there and run it. It would probably be fine. I would just have, you know, I obviously have no point in, there's no point in running the 3-point and an implement at the same time. So it's probably going to be fine that way, worst case. But I would really, really, really like to have the 12-volt hydraulics, and I really like to have this Christmas tree working. It just seems really ridiculous that it's just not working. So yeah, if I can get some, I've already bought the hydraulics. I just needed a couple hydraulic lines to feed into this block right here. But if I can mount it here and put it in some kind of a protective cabinet or something that's, you know, obviously this would all be custom. I'd have to paint it red. I wouldn't have to, but I would. And keep it out of the elements. And then I would have the controls mounted up here somewhere. Then I would be able to control the loader, power up and down, because that's what it's designed for, and then the 3-point power up and down, because again, that's what it's designed for. Anyways, I could also just forego the power down on this and leave this like it is and just run these hydraulics that run to the front end loader at the 12-volt setup. And then if I need anything that is a double acting cylinder, an implement or something like that that does need a double acting cylinder, then I would have that there. Maybe I'll have 2 blocks running off the side. I don't know. This is all really ridiculous. I mean, it is. Nothing that I have ever bought in my entire life, I don't think, I had to think about that, but at least as far as farm equipment goes, some of you are going to laugh, but nothing I have bought has ever gone to plan. And I'm not kidding. When I got this thing, and I was doing research on it and so on, and it has the 3-point, which we need. It has the loader, which we wanted, but didn't necessarily need. I'm thinking, this is great. I'm going to be able to get everywhere with this, but it gets stuck all the time because it's got these teeny tiny 6x16 wheels on it. I still have to move the other wheels over that are 7.5 by 16s, so they should do better about not getting stuck. It's not gonna not get me stuck, but I'll have a better chance of not sinking in, because all the way to the front end is on that little point right there between the 2 tricycle tires. So it's annoying, and I'm learning. Okay, so I am learning. I know there's some veterans who are experienced, like, oh, I know how exactly to drive a tricycle, you know, whatever. And you know, it's funny because you see new people, especially me. I'm 40 years old. I haven't tilled a single thing ever, and I'm learning as I go along. I know I'm going to make mistakes, but I really want to learn hydraulics. I know that it's simple once you wrap your mind around it, once you read about it, once you start using it. I know it's simple, but I have a lot to learn. I really do. So At any rate, it's very frustrating because we bought this. I sold my Jeep to buy this thing because this was going to be a huge help for getting alfalfa taken care of. It was a huge thing for us. And this thing has already paid for itself several times with all of the stuff that I've lifted in the front end of it. I haven't had a chance to use the 3-point yet. I really, really badly want to, because that was the whole reason to get the tractor anyways, was the 3-point. The loader was a bonus. So yeah, but I have no way to use a plow, a lift plow, a lift up and gravity down, because I have no other lines. Like I said, I would probably have to disconnect these and then tie into this one here. That would probably work. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think that this would have to be down all the way because of the pressure. If I disconnect this while this is all the way up, it's got all that pressure on the cylinder. I don't think I'll be able to reconnect it. So even that's not ideal. Oh, this is so frustrating just standing here thinking about it. What I really, 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 really need to do is just get a box that will bolt maybe to the transmission cover on the back that will come out and up so it's out of the way of the 3-point. It'll sit right in this area, which is fine because it'll be out of the way. It'll sit here. It'll be enclosed, so it'll be out of the elements because I don't like the idea of the motor being exposed and all that stuff. And then it would power at least the loader, but likely it would power both the loader and the 3-point. And then I would just take these hydraulic lines and put the quick connector ends or whatever they're called here for my implements. It's probably what I would prefer to do it that way, but that's going to require someone, because I'm not skilled, someone would have to literally design me a box of some kind that would be able to come out, so it could come straight out like this and then up. I'd have to make sure the seat wouldn't hit it, so it'd have to come out far enough. It had to come up so that it's out of the way of the 3-point or any implements that I would be, hooked up. It is a mess. And I had this fantasy, honestly, and someone brought me down to reality or down to earth. I have seen near me, there is a 3-point backhoe. And it's small, and it attaches to, obviously, the 3-point. And then you can use a backhoe. We have so many things all over the property that we could use a backhoe for, and I'm not kidding. And with the last flooding that we had here, it really opened our eyes to all of the spots all over the property that are flooding, because what looks like to be things that used to be trenched out have filled in. So a backhoe is going to be incredibly useful for us. But a lot of times I dream. Reality is not the same as dreaming. So once I'm brought down to earth, then I move on. So, but again, the whole point of this tractor was getting this 3-point. But I need to pull my implements with it. I can't not. So I've got a plow out in the garden right now that I need to get out of there. I need to get new tires for it. I need to get a new disc for it. And I need to get it up and running. I need to start practicing. I need to start practicing with plowing. I've watched videos. I've looked at all these different things. But until you actually get into the seat and start plowing and screwing up and learning and screwing up and then not screwing up as much and then whatever, until that happens, then basically I'm not going to know anything, and I'm not going to just sit here and wait for things to happen. I want to be able to do my own alfalfa someday with my own implements, get out there with this tractor, and maybe someday my fantasy tractor, my 1566, and just plow the field, plant, seed, whatever has to be done. I don't know. I'm really, really, really ignorant when it comes to all of this stuff. I mean, I really am. I'm learning. A lot of you out there have the fortune of being raised into it, so it becomes natural, it's normal, it's basic, it's just there. I'm not. I wasn't raised into it. I'm learning. So I'm like that 10-year-old kid that gets on the tractor for the first time and what's this do? What's this do? What's this do? So it's a long learning process. But fortunately, I have a really, really good friend who is experienced in all this and does know what he's talking about, who is helping me and guiding me through this process. But I'm trying to do as much as I can on my own. It's just frustrating, to say the least. So at any rate, but I don't know what these things are. Honestly, I don't know what they are. They look like they're open a little bit. Maybe there's dirt in there. Maybe it's a bleeder. I'm not sure. Anyway, so tomorrow I'll probably pull this off because this one's not working. I'll probably pull this off and I'll see what the heck is going on. If I get absolutely no pressure out of this when the double acting Christmas tree is pushed forward, then I know it's something with the Christmas tree. So then I'll have to tear all that apart. But if I can, I would rather just mount that 12 volt 20 quart sitting right here. That way I've got really powerful hydraulics. I can run the front loader. I can run anything else basically. And then I can use the belly pump for the implements going back and forth, and maybe even the 3-point. I don't know. So anyways, all right, it's Easter Sunday. I'm going inside. I'm going to relax for the rest of the night and think about this and think about this and think about this. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed your Easter Sunday. And as always, take care.